Hi, good day, welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. We are waiting, of course, for the final deadline of this year's finals, which will be on the 20th of December. That will be in about 11 days. And, of course, we hope that everyone will have enough time to put the finishing touches on their AIs, and let's see what is going to happen until then, because updates have been relatively few. I think that a lot of players are just keeping their trump cards for the last week. But then again, you've got to test them. So if you do upload a bot which is, how should we put it, not really functioning, or one key tactic doesn't go as well as planned, you are, well, up in a tree without a paddle in a creek and things like that. So today's only recommendation was a TVP or a PVT, depending on where you're coming from. And it's Seda, the Samsung bot, which dominated the Canadian tournament of Dave Churchill. And it's Beereva, and Beereva hasn't been updating as diligently as the others have. But it's a tall order to fight Seda, because Seda had about a 90+% win rate against any bot in the Canadian tournament, so that was the most dominating performance we've seen to date. And it certainly looks like Seda is the team to beat, because although Crazio is back on top for now, I think that the team behind Samsung's Monster AI will have some tricks which it doesn't show us yet. And you can see how beautiful it is playing. So sit back a while on 2 base, a couple of tanks in the main base in case anyone tries a sneaky drop. Nice bunker with protecting buildings, and only the tank cover right behind here could be a little bit better. And as soon as the goons show up, I think some tanks are going to move, but one on the high ground, you could do a lot of damage to this eBay for some economic hindrance, but then again, a 2-base Terran with 41 workers is in an okay position to withstand any kind of mild harass like that. But now the tanks will have to come into play, and they siege just in range. That is so clever, just in range to keep these goons out, and these goons immediately, they smell something's going wrong at the other side of the wall. And this is uncharacteristic of Seda, because that eBay is left burning, and when it's in the red, it will slowly burn down, as you can see here. Behind this, Beereva is expanding, has taken another base, so it's 3 versus 2 bases. And this army movement is rather suspect, because the army doesn't really know where to go, and it's not really doing anything. And behind that, Terran is increasing its stock of tanks, and once it gets too many tanks, it will be damn hard for Protoss to deal with. Beereva now venturing out with a shuttle, and I think that shuttle, here comes the Terran, and you can see immediately the toll that is taking on the Pro Dragoons, and that is very deadly, because there is now a 40 supply Terran mech army on the move, and Protoss hasn't got a thing in the world. So this game looks to be pretty much over. There is a shuttle lurking in the wings, but it's being tagged by a couple of vultures, and it's not really doing anything. That is Terran getting stuck on the bridges. That's very silly, and that allows Protoss to clean up some of that army, but still is not really working as well as planned. And of course, a handful of vultures. The SCVs have got to run. And this shuttle Reaver thing is really doing its utmost, and now it will... these vultures are very much on point. But then the Terran army is encroaching upon the Protoss territory. And, dear, this is very nice. Just occupying a lot of Terran army over here. Some of it is stuck on the bridge. And these 2-3 tanks, they can't really do too much. And now Protoss is going for the breakout. Reaver dies, Storm nice on top. And now the... Terran is being pushed back, and still because it can't really navigate this bridge. This vulture wants to go that way and the tanks this way. And Seda still only got 2 bases, and although... oh dear, the programmers of Seda will love watching this video, because this is a blatant weakness, just occupying about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vultures and 3 tanks just to keep tabs on a single shuttle. That's not good at all. Here comes the Terran again. And Protoss will need to hold again. The army at the bridge has got unstuck. And Beereva still hasn't got that extra base. Has got some extra money. And there is an Archon on the prowl, and that's an observer. And still... No, I think that Reaver just got killed. And... Ooh, nice storming, and with the Arbiter doing quite well. You are going to need a couple of scans to deal with that. Ooh, and the Reavers are doing a lot of damage, and the Archon, of course, is not to be trifled with at all. But here come the tanks, and the tanks are always sort of the major test for a Protoss to deal with, because if you can deal with the tanks, you have a much easier time dealing with Terrans. But the Protoss army is so small, and where is it all at? It's very hard to say. There is a couple of observers out on the map, but here the battle is being fought. That was a nice Reaver shot, but then the Reaver dies, and there are 2 science vessels on top. I can't see this going anywhere for Protoss, if I'm brutally honest. And the Protoss army is just not there, and the Terran army is very small too, but the Natural is being shelled, and that is just not going to work. There are too many science vessels out here. There are 2 shuttles though. So, oh, and a Reaver's coming down from the high ground. One more shot, yes! Oh, and the tanks are getting pretty low, and you can see that it's working pretty well. Some Zealots being dropped on them, but still the Nexus is under attack. And this Zealot comes to the rescue, but it can't really do too much. And Protoss is in a world of trouble. Has got this base operational here. Is trying to get this base to work over there, but Seda's got one more base coming as well. So Seda looking to be in a dominant position. Here comes some more Zealots though, and the Zealots, they do tend to clean up the tanks pretty well, but here come more Vultures. Oh, and the Vultures are going after the worker train. That's not good at all. The main is totally not mining anymore. And one more shot at this tank, and if you clean out the tanks, you are doing so well. And this Corsair will have to do some science vessel hunting. For now, Beereva holds, but at what price? Because Seda just established one more base, and there are Vultures on the worker train. Here comes a cannon, and if that cannon could just... Oh, that was very brave microbite at one probe. Here comes the cannon, but the Vulture is running by. The probes come off the line, but will it be enough? And over here, the Terran tries to push, but I think that without the tank support, the Protoss has got things well under control. And the Corsair is going to town on the science vessel. That's good. And now Protoss has broken free. The worker train's coming back. I don't know why. Probably because Terran is taking this base over here. But now probe production has started, and the Natural's mining again. So now it's Terran's turn to be on the defensive, and I think that there are some... Oh dear. 3 Reavers crawling across the map. Oh, and a Shuttle Reaver over here. The SCV's... Oh, and that was very careless. 2-1 Goliath, the Shuttle Vulture combination dies, and the Shuttle crashes with the Reaver in it. But now Terran is under attack, and also trying to counter over here. There is a Goon, some reinforcements, some cannons, so as long as there are no tanks here, losses will be minimal. And now Protoss is going to attack this base, and that's a loss that Seda would rather not sustain. Seda's tanks are in the Natural, and that's so very defensive. The science vessels are right there too, and we saw what damage they could do. So although there is a handful of Vultures out there, and the army production of Protoss is abysmal, this base has been blown to pieces, and it may even crash without... Ooh, this Goon had better be rather careful. Yes, and there goes the command center. So, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear! You are not going to play Minesweeper with Reavers, surely not. Oh dear. Okay, well that was that. But there is a Shuttle Reaver thing going on here, and the encroachment of 2 Zealots and 2 Goons. While there is a huge tank army over here, that's rather silly, because economically speaking, these bases aren't worth too much anymore. And this base is one that should be protected at all costs. Now, 2 stasis science vessels over here, and you can see Protoss running away with this game. This base still sort of mining, this base operational, and could do with one more base really, but this is turning into a bit of a tower defense kind of thing. This command center is going to die, and this base has been completely wrecked. So Beereva appears to be in a good shape, but mainly because Seda has taken the decision to play rather defensive, and that cannot go well, as you can see here. And another base for Beereva. So Beereva keeping doggedly at it. Oh, and has got some issues with the bridge as well. Reaver getting picked up. And some zealots dropped on the tanks, that's good. Because right now Seda is playing out of money. And although there are a fair number of tanks, you can see this is going to be a countdown run. 42 Terran Army supply, 38, nice Reaver shot on there. 36, and although this is a very good defensive position and there are two science vessels, I can't really see Terran holding this for very much longer. The SCVs are trying to long distance mine, and they will try and bring some money back home. There is a Reaver shuttle thing, the Reaver just got killed I believe, and I don't know, yes that's very good damage to the science vessels, and Seda was playing beautifully but then made the wrong decision, and now Protoss is just gathering steam, building units all over the map, has got things well under control, every base protected by 3 cannons, and 26 army supply left, and the bunker cannot be repaired. The tanks are now under attack, and although the death toll on the Protoss side is quite astounding, this is just only going one way. Every unit that Terran loses cannot be replaced, and the main is completely defenseless. 4 army supply left, I don't know what that is, must be the science vessels or something. But that is the GG, and hopping into the next game, which is Purple Swarm versus Yuan Hangzoo. And Purple Swarm, of course, is going to play Zerg, and Yuan Hangzoo is going to play Protoss. So, speed it up just a tiny little bit. I have got quite a couple of games to cast today. And oh dear, I completely missed that. Oh dear, that's so silly of me. Sorry, let's do that again. Yuan Hangzoo is going to play Protoss, has built a forge, and is going for a rather offensive... oh dear, cannon rush, and a lot of workers are dying. The Zerglings are dying, but the science vessel, that's called a Simp colony, is up. And with some beautiful defense, Purple Swarm saves the day. And now it's all over, and that was so very... I totally botched this game, didn't I? But this was the game. Oh no, I can't do better. Let's try that one more time. So this is not really being cast live. So you can see I'll try and cast it not at 8 times the speed. Pylon outside of the side range. And the first cannon outside of the side range of this hatchery 2. Now, working, mining, while this cannon is prepping. And now some workers are coming off, immediately placing down a sunken. And that is too many cannons right in front. A handful of Zerglings are coming up, and they kill with the help of the workers, and it's very tight. Kill the cannon over here, and then the sunken colony is done. And then, as a Zerg, you'll have 9 workers, 2 sunkens, and a handful of Zerglings, and Protoss is left sitting here. Has got a lot of money, and at this time you got to place down all your money and cannons over here, but instead it tries to move out, and as soon as the Lings are spotted here, I suppose it will build some cannons, because it's got a lot of money. But it's not going to be so. So only when the Lings enter the base, the cannon is built, and then you are stuck with 500 minerals, no workers, and not a chance in hell to win this game ever again. And Purple Swarm is just going for a lot of Lings, and has got this game in the pocket. So GG, nice hold. Another Zerg is Kilowatt, and Kilowatt has been working on the most beautiful mutant micro I've ever seen in an AI. And at the other end of the map we've got Eckworth, and Eckworth has been working on the best bio play I've ever seen in a bot. So that is going to be an interesting play, because that's really rather like a human Terran versus Zerg. And Eckworth is going for a lot of Marines early on. So 2 barracks, quick command center behind that. And Kilowatt is going for a well-protected natural with a macro hatch and a quick lair. And still this scouting SCV is in there, now gets killed, but not before the lair has been spotted. And that is something that these bots, well, I think that's going to be next level, and human players sometimes forego the denying of enemy scouting as well. But that's a very defensive setup by Kilowatt. That's a lot of cannons, and it's also stacking up a lot of gas. Here comes the Spire, right in the line of fire. That's really strange. And immediately a large round of muters is going to be built. And now supply box. So that is something that could be taken into consideration as well. If you've got the money for a large wave of muters, you also have the overlord count to support that as well. Third base being started, small, very decently sized biotrain, and it moves back as soon as the muters are in the main base. And the muter count is okay, it's now about 8. And not all muters are there, I suppose, or are they? If there are 8 muters over here, the main army is out on the map. It's going to be quite difficult to get back in time. And you can see that there is a respectable amount of damage being done. And it's still single targeting the Marines. And could easily kill this one as well. Yes, there it goes. And lots of damage, but when the main army... Oh, the main army is getting blocked by this stupid medic, and now a lot of damage is being done in the main, but with all these barracks, the rallies are quite significant as well, and the muters, they are getting cornered, but they can find a way out, and oh, the main army and bridges and ramps are so hard to deal with for AIs just to move up and oh, and all the muters getting cornered and killed, and that's so... Oh, that's very unfortunate. Meanwhile, third base nearly up for Kilowatt, and a new round of muters is in the base, but you need to have an exit strategy, and right now it doesn't look like Kilowatt has got that. And if an exit strategy is... oh dear, the losses are atrocious still. So I hope that Kilowatt... Oh, and an SCV run by as well, killing the bunker! Oh no, the fire bat just cleans it up in the nick of time. And with 2 SCVs repairing, I think that Eckworth hold, and Eckworth has got a huge army, and Kilowatt is losing a lot. And by a lot, I really mean a lot. Has got a fair number of workers, is up on workers compared to the Terran, but still only has got 2 gas. And versus a stinned bio-Terran, that is going to be very hard. And this small cloud of muters really can't do too much. I'll kill a couple of workers, yes, that's good, but then you get trapped by all the reinforcements, and still, oh, the entire army is trying to move back, but the army movement of Eckworth could be a little bit better. Then again, here comes some muters which are getting themselves killed once more, and that's just, that's not good. If you are going to make muters your main weapon, you had better make sure they work a little bit better than this, because although the damage output is good, they just take way too much damage, and they should rather try and fly around to here and try to harass the natural, which is defenseless, or try to work with a double group of muters. And a 4th base for Zerg, that's good. So if you can keep the Terran in space while macroing, but then again you need to keep this under control, because Eckworth's production is way better than yours, and although you're killing a lot of workers, this is just wasteful. You're just going to get trapped and killed, and the Terran army is going to grow, and then you are stuck with 2 muters, and that's not really enough. One gets irradiated as well. Some Zerglings doing work on the outside, but not really as much, and this 4th base has a gas, so perhaps, oh, 4th base, 5th base, that's very good. Terran minerals are still there, and the good thing for Terran is that these Marines are very cheap, and again, a 3 muter harass. Well, Terran has got a 70 supply army, so you need to have your next step there, because Terran is just going to steamroll everything Zerg with this kind of army. Upgrade wise, it's got the +1/+1 nearly done, it's got range, it's got stim, and as a Zerg player you are going to have to play very hard to deal with that. And now the Sunkens are there with some Zerglings, that's true. Oh, and the building SCV gets killed, that's good. A new one will have to be sent for. This base operational, this base is mining, so now it's a 3-gas Zerg, but holding things like this, you're going to need lurkers or swarm or anything like that, and I really hope that Kilowatt is going to say that. Oh, and Eckworth can't deal with 2 squads at once. The entire army is being pulled back to deal with 5 ragged mutas over here, and the mutas are doing okay. They are in a nice position to cliff this base. But anything, a Guardian, a Lurker, a Defiler follow-up would be preferable to staying on mutas for too long, because the Terran army is still growing and Zerg's army is portary. So if this Terran Death Ball starts rolling, there is nothing as a Zerg player you can do about it if you haven't got the higher tech units to try and deal with it. Now finally we are seeing the Hive, and it's only to be hoped for Zerg that... Oh, look at that Firebat doing damage to the Zerglings, that's insane. Must have so many kills. It's only to be hoped that Zerg can delay the Terran for a little bit longer so it can get to Hive Tech. Hive Tech is really rather late. Here is the Hive. The question is, what kind of Ghosteners will be coming out of Zerg to stop the Terran? Army-wise, Terran is in a good position. Its army is growing and growing, and the Muta harass is petering out. Terran has just got too much stuff, and although Terran is having a hard time in reaching that 100 supply, that 100 army supply, it's still losing units. But Zerg really can't get things done. The Zerglings, they just evaporate, and there is a small flock, or a decent flock of mutas, because it's still taking way too much damage. See it over here, all that stimming going on. The medics are getting low, but that's okay, there are so many medics. And the mutas, they have no alternative just to run, and this Zerg base is getting overrun by the Terran. That's not good at all. Defense is being propped up over here. Here there are only 3 or 4 Sunkens. One more Sunken is about to be built, but it's 90, it's almost 100 versus 25 army supply. And although there aren't any medics in front, this is going to be bloody. So a Zerg without the decent follow-up, and now Eckworth is trying to attack multiple areas at once, is losing some army needlessly, but here the natural is being blown to pieces, and that's the end of the tech of the Terran. And going to rebuild here, that is, if there is such a large angry stimming mob of marines out there, you've got to run the hell out of there and try to save what can be saved. So now, spawning pool is about to be rebuilt, but until then Zerg can't build anything. And if you look at the production tab, it's just the spire and the spawning pool, and that's it. While Terran keeps building command center, 2 barracks, and a lot of marines. And now it's 9 versus 90 army supply. This is only going one way. And Zerg did fight well with the Muta. Oh, here comes some more Mutas, but Muta is not a late game strategy, it's not even a mid game strategy. If you are not playing very well, you need a follow-up, and I can only hope that Kilowatt will have a follow-up strategy for the finals, which deadline is the 20th of December. It's holding on for now, but it's 44 versus a couple of workers, and Terran is just 100 supply up versus the Zerg, and that's just not going to work. Here comes the Death Ball, now 120 supply, and still the bridges are a bit of a pest, but oh, and Eckworth really needs to learn to build turrets. It's got all the money it needs, probably, and then you build just a 10 turrets in each base, and you have got some supply-free defense. Now Zerg is totally dead. This base is totally wrecked as well, and you will need lurkers, you will need swarm, you will need guardians or anything like that. And this is just not going to work. Here comes the Wrecking Ball, and the Wrecking Ball will, of course, wreck. So, although the Zerg base has been rebuilt, it's only going in one direction, and although... No, that's just a lone Zergling. And the lone Overlord. So, Terran's Max has got a lot of money in the bank, and although the ramp is still difficult, this is over. So, GG. Next game up is another TVZ. And it's Halpan versus Simplicity. Simplicity with the good drops. Halpan has been updating. Halpan being based on Ironbot has got a lot of potential, but it's very hard to unlock that if you are starting with a complex bot like that. And talking about that, we have got a new bot based on Steamhammer, one more based on Steamhammer, so that will be a pleasure to show you as well. Halpan now starting out with 2 Marines and an SCV over here, while teching quickly to 2 factories. That's good. Oh, and slow down a little bit. Now Simplicity with 2 Sunkens is in an okay position. 3 Sunkens, that's really rather defensive. And there is a lair already, that's good. And this Overlord is rather begging for it, but then finds the relative safety of the Sunken defense, while Halpan is just sitting back on 2 bases. And if you see a Zerg turtle that hard, it would be wise to build a command center and not mine up your own mineral only. That's rather, well, it's nearest base to mine up, so that's, from that perspective, it's okay. Oh, and the Zerg kills the first siege tank. That's, I'll try and keep on top of this game, because I don't want to have to scroll back in time for every game. I had to recast that Hangzoo versus, I think McGraves Zerg it was, 3 times. Oh, and the Zerg straight going for the siege tank. That's very good. Here comes the next one. Still no natural for Terran. And Zerg's taking the mineral only. So I think with this decent army production, I think that Zerg can kill all the siege tanks as soon as they show up. And the challenge rather is not to let the Terran ball grow too big before you do kill the siege tank. And here come the Zerg. Mine hits going off all over the place. And now with 2 tanks, I think that Halpan is in a good position to make this contain work. Zerg hasn't got the army. What's Zerg building? A lot of infrastructure, and right now you don't need the infrastructure, you need 2 units to stop these 3 tanks now. So Halpan, I think, will be able to close down and contain. The natural command center will be done momentarily. And with 2 factories, I think this has just worked for Terran. 4 tanks now, the repair is on top, as we are used to that, seeing that coming from Iron. Now the lurkers are there, but the lurker play is not good enough. You just got to keep your nose down and don't keep burrowing and burrowing in range of the tanks. And I think with 1 comsat with full energy, this strategy has come too late. Damage is being done to workers, to the Sunkens, and Zerg just hasn't got the army to contest this Terran Death Ball, baby Death Ball, and here comes a Wraith to rub salt in the wound. Lurker play not good enough, and I think by now there is a 2nd comsat. So yeah, Terran doing okay, even sending over a science vessel, and Simplicity is falling. Drop play didn't reach that stage of the game. So, yeah, there you go. Now, the next game up will be Roman Danielis versus Steamhammer. And Roman Danielis is one of the school of 2013. That's 5 years ago. So, if we are talking about old school, that's about it. Going to send in a first Zealot. And Steamhammer, of course, by J. Scott. So many bots have used it as a starting point for their new creation. And the new bot we have got as well. Oh, and that's very pro. Just cycling out the damaged Zerglings and let the healthy ones take the brunt of the battle. And when the threat is over, sending them back in, because these Zerglings, they heal up so well. And then you can do a lot of damage. There are 3 gateways though, so I don't really think that Zerg can keep on the pressure for too long, because as a Zerg versus pure Zealots, it's really rather hard. You need good micro to macro to keep that up, and good micro as well. And the good micro is there. But now all these Zerglings are deep in the red, and this Zealot is just killing them one at a time. That's very good. And meanwhile, 3 gateways are putting out a lot of Zealots. So, going to be a little bit of a tug of war. And Zerg is now switching into Hydras. And then again, there are a lot of Zerglings, but a lot of them are pretty badly damaged. The Zealot micro is not as good. This one is just going off in a strange direction. And this one too, while this poor damaged one over here is left to die on its own. here come the Hydras, and once the Hydras start rolling, with a little bit of upgrades, it's very hard to protect your base with just pure Zealot. Oh dear, this is not good at all. No worker defense. And no army production, so that's not going to work at all. And I think we just witnessed the end of the game. Some Zealots are coming in to try and help, but the Zerg army is just too big. And that pretty much was the game, I believe. Yeah, well defended natural. A little bit slow on the drones, low drone count for Steamhammer. Third base not there, but this is it. And the assimilator is not a threat, so where the hell are they going? They're going to scout out all the bases and just forget about the assimilator for some reason. Meanwhile, some nice macro going on the end of Zerg. A huge Zerg army is crawling the map. Oh, and now they have found it, but that took some doing. And the rest of the army is just crawling out over there. So, GG. And last game up before we are going to show the new bot. It's McGraves Zerg versus Eckworth. We saw Eckworth play a beautiful drawn-out game versus Kilowatt's Mutas. And Will McGraves Zerg, which got updated as well. Not the real McGrave, the Protoss one, which we are so glad to have back. But the Zerg one got updated, and, well, if players like McGrave get excited, it's very, very hard to predict where they're going. And I think that McGrave Zerg is going to play Muta as well. Yep, there we go. And this is a 2-base Muta, so it's a little bit more aggressive. Less workers than Kilowatt has. And lots of overlords. That's strange. Could have built a hatchery with that money. Where are the Mutas? Damn, I can't see them. We've got one here. We've got one there. And, well, Eckworth is going to play Bio, so that's good. Oh, here's one. 2 over there. Oh, and they are not going to play in a pack, so they are getting damaged and killed. So, nice strat if you can pull it off, but I still think you need to cluster them a little bit and do more damage, because this distributed Muta kind of thing is not really going to work, and especially not versus a bio player like Eckworth. And Eckworth finally building a turret, that's good. Should do that more. It's just good to have 2 turrets, 3 turrets over here, so you can withstand a bit of Muta pestering before your army rolls up. And McGrave has still got these 14 workers, so it's not really... Well, it's got a lot of Mutas. They are not really coming to grips with the enemy enough, I feel. A lot of them are getting damaged and killed. Lots of workers get killed, but still Eckworth has got this 43 supply army and has even got a 3rd base. So macro-wise, it's going in Terran's favor. And Zerg's got this 24, 26 supply army. And here comes the Wrecking Ball, which is Terran. And there is just nothing there. There isn't even a Sunken to try and hold this. And yeah, there you go. So this Muta build does need a little bit of work. And Terran's just rolling up with 60 armor supply. And no turrets in the main, just completely relying on the Marines to deal with all the Zerg. And oh dear, there was one Muta left. And from a Zerg perspective, this is too scary to watch. So we are going to go into the next game, which will be TSMU Protoss 2 versus Insanity Bot, based on Steamhammer. And Insanity Bot is, well, what's it going to do? Let's go and find out. Its description read that it was trying to play mech, or would play mech. The question is, will TSMU Protoss give it that chance? Because TSMU being involved with Facebook with the Cherry Pie bot is no longer actively working on his own bots, but they are still pretty damn good, and well, are a bit of a precursor for the Beereva and McGraves and the Cuters. It's just a little bit older at this time, And Insanity Bot is going with a bunker with a couple of marines, while TSMU just keeping tabs with a 1 Zealot, 1 Dragoon kind of thing. 2 factories, looks a bit like Iron Bot, or Halp for that matter. And now coming out with 2 Vultures. Will we have any upgrades? No, not yet. The Vultures, they do spin nicely, that's good. But I think that TSMU with a couple of goons will do well as long as there are no mines. And TSMU with the quick natural, so I think that Insanity Bot, you can't really beat all that many Vultures with just pure... can't beat that many goons with pure Vulture. And TSMU's natural will be done momentarily. Workers are being built and Insanity Bot has fixed them to 20. What's it building? Infrastructure, so keeping the pace of the game rather low, just a handful of Vultures sitting back in the natural choke and building a lot of infrastructure and not enough army, because that's 5 factories and you have got no army at all. So, oh, and now a command center, so that's pretty ballsy. The goons, they easily round up the Vulture. There is, I think, 1 marine in there. Oh, 3. But there are just too many goons, and I'm sorry that I couldn't find game of Insanity versus a less accomplished player, but it had only 2 games at the time of recording this video, so that's an impossibility. And I think that so many Vultures... Oh, there is a tank coming, but once it pops, I think it won't like the side of the world very much. Oh, nice mine, but then again, oh, here comes the tank. Is there siege mode? Yes, there is. So perhaps with some ungodly luck it can do well, but the goons have picked up on the existence of the siege tank and they dispatch it. 1 more coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 factories with 1 base. That's insanity. And TSMU just with a 3rd base, claiming the easy victory over Insanity Bot. Insanity Bot, welcome to the show, and I hope you are going to work hard. And next time, I promise you, we'll take a game against a less formidable foe than is TSMU Protoss. So, penultimate game of today will be McGraves versus Thomas Weider's Simp. And the reason for that is that although Simp hasn't been updated in ages, it's still a very strong bot, and if you want to go far into the tournament finals, which will be starting, I think, during the Christmas holidays, deadline 20th of December, do not forget it, and make sure your bot is up and running and fully tested before that deadline. Nice bit of worker harass, and McGraves losing 1 worker. Losing 2, that can be costly, will be costly actually, because you can see Simp getting ahead in workers, and that is not good. Another 1 killed, that's so very painful to watch. Will there be fighting units? No, not at all, because... Oh, and there is 1, but it just buggers off. Oh, but I suppose it did kill that harassing probe. But that's a nice worker lead, and although Simp is in a good position now behind the cannons, I think that McGraves will probably be able with the timing attack to break that, but did get set back a lot because of that worker harass, and some workers are still a little bit damaged because of that. Now, we are seeing the 1 scouting probe, and it doesn't really, well, it knows what it's going to find, because Simp always does this. But there you go, and the army of McGraves is very, very small. It's building a lot of stuff, but not really as many units as it could. You need some kind of a timing attack to kill this cannon wall before the carriers pop. And the first 2 Stargates have been built already, and I think... No, that's not the fleet beacon yet. Beating opponents like Simp is really one of the prerequisites to going far in the tournament finals. Because if you do not, your win rate will suffer, and all the big Terrans like Crazio, like Seda, and everyone who can beat Simp reliably will have to step up on you, and that will make it harder to reach the elimination stages of the tournament. Now, McGraves building a lot of gateways, and Simp has got the first... Oh, the fleet beacon is there. Wow, that's quite... How can you... Oh, that's a gateway for some reason. The first carrier is prepping and cannons are being built. McGraves has got a huge army, but will need to do something about Simp before the carriers hit, because it's so very hard to kill carriers with just goons. Now more goons are coming. So goon-wise, McGraves in an okay position. As far as anti-air compositions of gateway units go, that's about as good as you can get. And here comes the goon army. It's 50 versus 8 army supply. The first carrier has still not spawned, so that's good. And here it comes. It has got no interceptors yet, and McGraves doesn't really dare to go toe-to-toe with the cannons. That's not good. The first 2 carriers are out. Oh, and now McGraves coming back with 1, 2 goons. And the carrier... Oh, and what the hell is it going to do there? That's just not good. These 2 goons out in the field, they get attacked by now 3 carriers. 4 carriers. The carriers have to be careful, but now with the cannons, I think they can put up a good show. And although the goons have got a lot of staying power, that's a lot of cannons. And although the carriers aren't fighting for some reason, that's very, very strange. The carriers, they must have a lot of interceptors. 16 between them, 17, 18, 19. They could fight, but instead they decide to let these goons completely wreck the natural command center nexus. And a 3rd base by McGraves. So McGraves has things well under control. Oh, and finally the carriers wake up and start fighting. The next pack of carriers is almost ready as well. So with 2 packs of carriers, although Simp lost the natural, is not completely out of this game. And these goons, they don't really know how to deal with carriers. They can't handle the interceptors, and they can't handle the hulks. They do try and attack the carriers themselves, not the interceptors. That's good. But this kind of retreating strategy is rather costly and doesn't do you a lot of good. But now the goons have reformed, and my god, there are a lot of them. So the 4 carriers over here, and will Simp try and rebuild before building more carriers? Yes, I think it will. It has got 4 carriers here, 4 carriers on the way up to trying to find this base over here. Just a very simple instruction set. Just follow the long route or the short one all across the map and hit the enemy where it hurts most. And here now there are only workers, and the entire army is over here mulling about, and that's not good for McGraves. McGraves is producing a lot of goons, which is good, but Simp is trying to get back into the game with double expanding over here, and the next wave of carriers is going to hit as well. So the goons, they are completely clueless, they do not know what to do, and a lot of workers are being killed. So Simp has got 24 because it just lost a complete natural, is rebuilding a couple. Main is mined out, so that's a clutch timing for that new base, and for this one as well. Now the carriers are engaging the goons, and they are meeting some stiff resistance. There are a lot of goons still. But then again, the next wave of carriers completely annihilates this base. And although the carriers are getting stuck on the goons and taking a lot of damage. Oh, and the next destruction of the natural is in progress. That's not good for Simp. Oh, hello. They did find that base, but they just couldn't take off more than half of the shields. That's not good at all. And how the hell will... Oh, Simp is with 8 carriers now in the main, and this battle will be fought. Simp has got 70 army supply, McGraves 100. Let's watch how that is going. The goons, that's 2 packs of carriers, 2 times 4. And Simp is not mining minerals. That's not good at all. That's not good at all. But the army is fighting, and McGraves is losing so much. The armies are now about even. I think 1 carrier just died, so the carriers are dying. But within these walls of the main base, the goons can't really micro, and they are suffering so very much. Simp still not mining minerals. So, but McGraves seems to have keeled over completely. Here comes a Reva, still not mining minerals, but the carriers have things so well under control, killing all the gateways, and that's going to be so painful for McGraves. McGraves is out of money as well. The army is getting stuck over here, and McGraves, I don't really know how you can do a thing like that. Yeah, you are long distance mining, but why? You haven't got a nexus anymore and you haven't got the money to rebuild. So now Simp is slowly mopping up the remnants of the base of McGraves. McGraves still has got a bit of a point, but I don't know if it's got enough money for scarabs. Oh, and one probe restarted the mineral mining over here. I don't know where it came from. Here come the carriers, they kill the last fighting units. And Simp now has got... It's got something of an income, but not much. Oh, and it's building interceptors. Okay, that was the GG. So, too bad. No, that's not the last game. I need to have... I need to have one more game later on, because I want to show the number 1 versus number 2, which are still Seda and Crazio. I want to show you that. ELO rating now looks like this. Crazio about 50 points up on Seda, and then 50 points for Banana Brain, and Locutus lagging behind that. TSMU Random still in there. McGrave, Ironbot, Dachin, and Kilowatt. So the top 10 isn't really all that close apart. Cherry Pie will need an upgrade, I think, because the last upgrade was for last year's final, and I hope we will get it because it is a beautiful creation and I'd love to watch it in its updated state. Now, we have got Banana Brain with a couple of gateways playing tag with the scouting SUV. That's still not getting old. That is something which I have been witnessing for 4 or 5 years. Oh, and with the Goon, I think you can do it. But not before this SUV has been in there, and it's even getting out, adding insult to injury. And the scouting information has been transmitted already. So Crazio playing very safe with a bunker on the high ground, 1 tank and floating barracks, handful of units, not really overextending himself, and Banana Brain going for a quick third. And more buildings over here. So Banana Brain looking to be in a good position. Crazio with a rather extended tank. I think that's to kill Seda, because Seda likes to encroach with the siege tanks of its own. What would be nice is to take possession of the high ground, take up a position over here and over there. And right now, if the enemy had siege tanks, you would be locked in on the low ground. That could be really rather costly. 4th base for Banana Brain already, and you can see the disparity in army size is not all that great, but Crazio's army is not as mobile. There are some vultures, but the tanks are really few and far in between. The natural's only just been made operational. And Banana Brain is taking a deadly toll on the tanks. Now there will be mines to deal with, and another tank over here. It's doing its utmost with some supporting units. The repair coming on, and the repair is being blocked by these vultures, but finally the SUVs reach the tank, and this tank and this bunker are so instrumental in dealing with the Protoss onslaught. And Crazio sort of holds with a minimal army supply. And, well, Banana Brain is doing okay. Has got 4 bases, has got some tech, has got a shuttle. I don't know what it's going to do with that, but we'll soon find out. And Crazio with 2 stray vultures is finding this base over here. A small army contingent is being sent. And the vultures are all over the map trying to pick up stray zealots. That's working well, because if you are not really going to be able to project a lot of force and large tank armies on the map, it's always good to have some vulture parties out to delay production of new bases, pick up some stray vultures, and keep tabs on the Reavers which are coming, because Reavers can really play havoc with your own forces. So cannon defenses are being installed, but Banana Brain has lost a couple of workers, and it's still got 71, so that's okay. Here the workers are returning, and this base will be operational and defended as well soon too. Crazio though is now in a 3-base situation. The main is mining out. That might be something to pay attention to. Can this tank actually traverse? Yes, the base to reach the exit. 2 wraiths overhead. Crazio setting up shop for the mid game. And a vulture being caught, and the vultures overrunning this base over here with the cannons. Only 2 cannons over there. That's good. That's a nice mechanic by Crazio, and this one goon doing a lot of damage, so it might be good to have some mines as well. and Banana Brain is going for one more base, and now the Zealots are coming in, and that's just diverting way too many forces to deal with a relatively simple problem of a couple of vultures. The clock though is ticking, and Crazio is now trying another push. It's no longer waiting for that 150 supply death ball. It can be a little bit more mobile, but I think it's going to be hard pressed. The tanks are too far on the outside, the Zealots reach them too easily. There is a Reaver and there is also a carrier overhead, and the shuttle, we are not going to see what it's had in its innards. And the storm going off, yeah, decent damage. Crazio's army supply is falling, they're now about equal, but it's just the better units for Banana Brain at this point. Really beautiful storms. The Zealots clean up the last tanks, and this carrier overhead is just keeping Crazio on its toe. It will need to have some kind of anti-air. And although Crazio is ferrying units out rather quickly, it has only got one Goliath, and that will be painful. But the tanks are taking up shop once again. All the Zealots are dead, and the storms aren't there anymore. And that Reaver is too slow. Will it get blasted? No, it's just out of range. That's so close. And although there are some vultures over here, I think that Banana Brain has got things well under control in the economy departments. Crazio, though, has got that same state of affairs, and Crazio is quickly repairing its units and has been, well, it's not really been able to move out of the base, but has gained the high ground. And on this map you need to gain this high ground, and then you are, if you can take this position, the Protoss will be on the low ground, and then you can start to do nice things, especially if you've got decent air cover. Here are 4 Goliaths, 2 more here, and a Wraith. That's good. 1, 2 carriers, and you can see the gateway units on the low ground. They can't do too much versus all this tank damage which is lurking on the high ground. And Banana Brain is now really being hard pressed. It's only got 26 versus the 60 army supply of Crazio. Main is out, natural getting low. These bases are all there. They have got no production, so all the production will be in the main base. And Crazio is, oh well, it's even skipping the high ground contain. It's just going for the low ground and is already blasting the units as soon as they leave their gateways. And I think that Banana Brain is going to be in for a bit of a beating if it doesn't devise a cunning plan to get out of here. Storm being dodged by Crazio, that's good. Crazio just 2 on top of the game to let slip on a position like this. There are 2 High Templar, but the Protoss army is just too small. Crazio with the turrets on top. Tanks now reaching the natural. The natural sort of mine out, so in that regard is not a loss for Banana Brain. But losing the main is because there is no production anywhere else, and of course the income is there. Banana Brain has got a lot of money, but hasn't got a single gateway outside of the main, and the main is being pressed hard by a lot of tanks with supporting units. And there is only 1 carrier, so 1 carrier does not a summer make. You need to have a couple to overrun the air defenses of Crazio's and then try to regain the ground with the gateway army. And now you can see Crazio with a separate push, excellent squad control, and mopping up all the workers as well, which are trying to reach that base. That's not a safe zone, Banana Brain, and you shouldn't try and do that. The map is slowly turning completely red. Crazio building a lot of factories all over the place, while simultaneously wrecking the main. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 factories, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 factories. That's 10. So Crazio in a good position, just taking the enemy natural for all the money that's in there and building more production outside of the main base, fortifying everything. While whipping that 123 army supply army around. That is, well, that's going to be a major problem for anyone to beat. So, yeah, I'll stipulate that Crazio has this, and now I just need 1 more game, Seda versus Crazio, because as it looks now, that's really going to be, oh, I can just do this. That is going to be, once it loads, looking at the game now, and that's 1.5 weeks before the deadline, this is the game where it will boil down to this. Can Crazio beat Seda? And last year Crazio bailed out in the last week, I believe, or very close to that, because he wasn't really Krasimir Krastav, the author of Crazio, was not satisfied with the capabilities of his bot, and he elected not to participate in the finals, which was a huge loss for everyone. I hope this year will feature some different results, and I hope you can see this battle between these two giants of the current game, both turned number 1 and 2 for a long time, and going for a bunker at the natural choke, while Crazio is sending its first barracks out and going for some factories. One factory for Seda. And let's look closely. Crazio has got 2 more workers, army supply wise. Oh, and Seda is building a natural command center. Army wise, Crazio's got 1 vulture. It's sitting at in the natural choke. It's got 1 tank, and Seda's got 1 tank, 2 marines in a bunker. I think that's a huge advantage. But with Crazio going for so many tanks, and Seda will of course have to keep up with that. Crazio is now arriving over here and has got the air cover. So, ooh, Crazio losing the first tank. That is not good, because now you are faced with an equal number of tanks for the short future, and the contain is not really coming off as well as it could. Seda, though, hasn't got the air cover, hasn't got the sight range. Crazio with the repair on top. That's good, and it's very hard to see the health of these tanks, but Crazio now with the good contain, raging the bunker and also doing splash damage to the repairing SCVs, and will now only have to outrange. There is floating barracks for Seda as well. Seda has got 2 tanks on the high ground and is now caught on the low ground, so depending on the map, Crazio could do very well with an early contain of Seda. And this is just very hard to break, because every unit trying to move across the ramp will get blasted. And there you go. So Seda is bleeding at this point, losing supply. Army supply is about half of that of Crazio. Crazio's got the natural operational as well, and has started the 3rd. So Crazio with a very good contain, upgrade wise, +1 weapon started. Air range is prepping as well. Hasn't got the mines, but is not relying on mines. And Seda is very lucky to have these 2 tanks over here. Might try and get a dropship to try and ferry out units to here or there, or even take a ninja expansion. Meanwhile, Crazio is fortifying this contain with everything he's got, and Seda is left struggling. The tanks of Crazio are so good, and it's really hard to break a thing like that. Crazio sieging, unsieging all the time. This tank is really badly damaged, and this is where the air range is coming in to try and push back the enemy air reconnaissance. This tank cannot be repaired. It's not safe for an SCV to move over here, and now Crazio annihilated these 2 tanks over here. It will encroach further and further upon the natural of Seda, and with the 3rd operational, the 4th started, and the natural defenseless really, because Seda has got a nice tank line, but it cannot protect its natural. Crazio can send tanks over here to reach the command center, and once that happens, the natural is done for. And Crazio, just with the high versus low ground, with the SCVs at the back for repair, is in a good position. Even got a Wraith overhead. Some quicker air reconnaissance, just taking a poke at that tank, and now the Comsat is under attack. These tanks, they can't reach this little space over here. The geyser is being attacked, the workers are being harassed, and Seda is with its back to the wall. Crazio taking 1 more base, upgrade wise, Crazio pulling far ahead, and I think this contain just works beautifully for Crazio. And although the command center is not being shelled, the gas is useless. You can't build a comsat, which Seda keeps trying to do. And of course the team behind Seda will try its utmost to work up a counter against this. But Crazio has been on top for so long, it's got so many strategies. I really... well, it will be interesting to see if the Seda team can come up with anything to try and beat that. Because, oh, we've got 3 dropships, but they are not being used in a defensive sort of way. Crazio, meanwhile, taking more bases, turrets all over the place. So these dropships, if they are going to take a roundabout way to the enemy base, are going to have their work cut out for them. And now Crazio will only need to have to break this tank line. It's 90 versus 30. Army supply 100 versus 28. And now the command center is being shelled. So once that is gone, Crazio will have free range of the map on the high ground. And although the floating buildings are taking a lot of damage, there are wraiths and a science vessel over there as well, even with cloak, and there is only 1 comsat. So I think that this was the game, really. There are 2 Goliaths left, and once they're gone, there is just 1 turret for anti-air. So Crazio could even try with these wraiths to pick off 1 or 2 of the Goliaths, and then the game would be over. Seda has got a little bit of money for repairs. There is 1 SCV, there are 2 SCVs left somewhere. I think are both there, I don't know. And 1 Goliath, 2 Goliath. The wraiths are doing damage, and Crazio just can't be bothered to rush this tank defense. Just going to inch up slowly and surely. The floating buildings are gone, so with sieging, unsieging, it would be in a good position to deal with that. And you can see now that Seda is just losing everything it's got. It's got 1 Goliath left, and a couple of dropships. Oh, a couple of Goliaths actually. Building 1 worker, but it's not going to be enough. Crazio enters the base and demonstrates why at the current time it is the #1 bot. So, deadline of this beautiful tournament is the 20th of December. Do not miss it. Every coder, every watcher, everyone who has suggested a game to me, thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you again next week. Goodbye.